I'm Sam, and I thought I had it all. A beautiful wife, Emily, whose laughter could chase away any shadow, and a tight-knit crew of friends who felt like brothers. But that day at the lake, under a sky too perfect for the storm brewing inside me, I saw something that shattered my world as the sun glinted off the still water. I caught a fleeting moment between Emily and one of my closest pals, a touch that burned into my soul like wildfire. Was it just my imagination, or was the life I'd built crumbling right before my eyes? Stick around, because what I uncovered next will leave you speechless. Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my backyard. The morning mist curling around my boots, and I'm staring at the old oak tree where I carved my initials years ago. It's not just a tree. It's a silent witness to every dream I've ever whispered into the dawn. My name's Sam. I'm 25, and life's been a steady rhythm of work, love, and the kind of friendships that feel like family. I've been married to Emily for 2 years now. She's 24, a whirlwind of energy with a laugh that could light up the darkest room. She's got this way of turning the most ordinary moments into something wild, like dancing in the kitchen while we're just trying to make toast, or dragging me out for midnight drives with no destination in mind. Her restlessness, though, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes I catch her pacing, like she's searching for something she can't name, and I wonder if I'm enough to anchor her. Then there's my crew, the 4 guys who've been my backbone since high school. Jake's the one who can't resist a punchline, always ready with a sharp quip that cuts through any tension. Ryan, he's the quiet one, always watching, piecing things together in his head before he speaks. Ethan's our action man, the guy who's itching for a race or a dare. His energy almost as boundless as Emily's. And Marcus, well, he's the calm in our storm, just rolling with whatever comes, never sweating the small stuff. The 5 of us, we've got this tradition: fishing trips at a secluded lake just outside town. T's our sanctuary, a place where I woke up before the alarm even had a chance to scream. Emily was already stirring beside me, her hair a wild mess on the pillow, and I couldn't help but smile at how, even half asleep, she looked ready to take on the world. We stumbled out of bed, both of us a little groggy, but buzzing with the kind of quiet excitement that comes with a day away from the grind. Down in the kitchen, we packed a cooler with ham sandwiches, a couple of cold sodas, and some chips, laughing as Emily admitted she'd never even touched a fishing rod in her life. I teased her about being a city girl at heart, and she swatted my arm, her giggle bouncing off the walls like sunlight. We loaded up my old pickup truck, the paint chipped and the engine grumbling like it had a personal grudge against mornings. As we hit the road toward the lake, I rolled the windows down, letting the cool air whip through the cab. A soft country tune hummed from the radio, barely audible over the rush of wind. And Emily's hand found its way to my knee, her touch warm and familiar. I stole a glance at her, watching the way the early light caught the curve of her smile, and for a moment, everything felt perfect, like we were driving toward something bigger than just a day of fishing. When we pulled into our usual spot by the lake, the clearing was already alive with the guys. Towering pines framed the area, their shadows stretching long across the ground, and the water shimmered like a sheet of glass under the rising sun. Jake was the first to spot us, waving us over with that signature grin of his, like he'd been waiting to crack a joke about us being late. I parked the truck, and we all set up along the lake's edge, rods in hand, the air thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. Hours slipped by with no bites, just the quiet of the lake wrapping around us like a heavy blanket. Every now and then, a fish would leap, breaking the stillness with a splash that echoed in the silence. But my line stayed slack. I glanced over at Emily, who was pacing near the shore, kicking at pebbles with the toe of her sneaker. Her shoulders were slumped, and I could hear her muttering under her breath about how fishing was the slowest thing ever. Her frustration was almost tangible, like a storm cloud hovering just over her head. I tried to lift her spirits, calling out with a gentle nudge in my voice, suggesting she take a break. Maybe wander around a bit and snap some photos of the scenery with her phone. She gave me a half-hearted shrug, her lips pressed into a thin line, before trudging off toward where Jake was casting his line a few yards down the bank. I turned my attention back to my rod, recasting with a flick of my wrist, the lure plopping into the water with a soft ripple. Out of the corner of my eye, I kept tabs on Emily, watching as she sidled up to Jake. Her posture shifted, loosening up, and her voice took on a playful lilt as she asked him something about his rod. I couldn't quite catch her words over the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze, but the tone was unmistakable. Then I saw her finger tracing slowly along the length of his fishing rod, a deliberate, lingering motion that sent a jolt through me. Her eyes locked with his, and there was no mistaking the spark there, a kind of unspoken invitation. My stomach twisted into a knot, a cold sweat prickling at the back of my neck, but I froze, my hand still on my own rod. Was I seeing this right? Was my mind playing tricks on me in the hazy afternoon light? Before I could shake off the feeling, I'm still sitting here by the lake, my fishing line forgotten, dangling uselessly in the water. My hands are trembling, not from the cool breeze, but from the storm raging inside me. I stare at the ripples on the surface, trying to make sense of what I just witnessed between Emily and Jake. My mind replays that moment over and over, her finger gliding along his rod, the way her gaze held his with something I can't unsee. Was it just a playful gesture, or was there more beneath it? I can't tell, and that uncertainty is tearing me apart. Part of me wants to storm over there right now, to confront them, to demand answers from Emily. I want to yell, to ask her what the hell that was about, to see if she'll look me in the eye and lie, or finally spill whatever truth she's been hiding. But another part of me is paralyzed, rooted to this spot by the shore. I'm terrified of what I might hear if I open that door. What if the words she says shatter everything I thought we had? What if I've been blind to something right in front of me all this time? My chest tightens, each breath feeling heavier. Then the last, like the weight of doubt, is pressing down on me. From where I'm sitting, I can hear sounds drifting over from the group a little ways down the bank. There's muffled laughter, the kind that stings because I'm not part of it. I catch the rustle of movement through the trees, and every so often, whispers float on the air, too soft for me to make out the words but loud enough to gnaw at my nerves. I turn my head just slightly, not wanting to be obvious, and through the gaps in the pines, I see glimpses that make my stomach churn. Emily's hand rests on Ryan's shoulder, her touch lingering in a way that feels too familiar. Marcus says something low, and her laugh rings out, sharp and bright, cutting through the quiet like a blade. Ethan's standing close to her, there, arms brushing as they shift, and I can't tell if it's accidental or something more deliberate. Every little detail feels like a betrayal. I can't sit here any longer, letting my thoughts spiral into a darker abyss. My legs feel like they're made of lead, but I force myself to stand, the gravel crunching under my boots as I rise. Each step toward the group feels heavier, my heart slamming against my ribcage like it's trying to break free. The air feels thick, suffocating, as I push through the low-hanging branches, the pine needles brushing against my arms like whispered warnings. I'm not ready for what I might find, but I can't turn back now. I have to see it with my own eyes, even if it tears me apart. As I get closer, the scene unfolds in brutal, unfiltered clarity, each detail a shard of glass in my chest. There's Emily, right in the center of it all, her face glowing with a kind of excitement I haven't seen in months. Her cheeks are flushed, her eyes bright, and she's surrounded by my 4 friends, my brothers, or so I thought. Jake's got his arms slung around her waist, his grip casual but possessive, like he's claiming something that's not his. Ryan's leaning in close, his lips near her ear, murmuring something that makes her tilt her head back with a soft, suggestive laugh. Ethan and Marcus are right there too, chuckling like this is all some kind of twisted game, their grins sharp and careless. She doesn't even notice me at first, too wrapped up in the attention, basking in it like it's the sun she's been craving. I stop a few feet away, my throat tight, and clear it loudly, the sound rough and jagged in the still air. Emily's head snaps up, her eyes locking with mine, and for a fleeting second, I see its guilt. Raw and unguarded, flickering across her face. But just as quickly, she buries it, plastering on a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, a mask I can see right through. My voice betrays me as I force out the words, cracking under the weight of my hurt. What the hell is going on here? The question hangs between us, heavy and accusing after that gooch-wrenching moment by the lake. I couldn't stand there any longer, watching the world I thought I knew crumble before my eyes. I turned away, my boots crunching against the gravel. As I stumbled back to my spot by the water, I sat down hard, my legs giving out beneath me, and just stared blankly at the lake. The surface was still, almost mocking me with its calm, while inside I was a storm of hurt and confusion. The distant sounds of their voices, Millie's laugh, the low murmurs of Jake, Ryan, Ethan, and Marcus faded into a dull hum in the background. It was like my mind was trying to shield me from the pain, but it couldn't block out the ache in my chest. The betrayal slicing through me like a cold wind. I don't know how long I sat there, lost in the haze of my thoughts, but eventually, I had to move. Packing up my gear felt like a chore heavier than anything I'd ever lifted. I folded the fishing rods with mechanical precision, my hands moving on autopilot while my heart stayed numb. The cooler, half empty now, felt like it weighed a ton. As I dragged it across the uneven ground toward the truck, each step was a struggle, not just from the physical load, but from the emotional weight pressing down on me. I tossed everything into the bed of the pickup, the clatter of metal and plastic echoing in the quiet, and didn't look back at the group still lingering by the shore. The drive home was suffocating. Emily sat beside me in the passenger seat, but she might as well have been a stranger. Neither of us spoke a word. The silence was thicker than the morning mist had been, heavy with unspoken questions and accusations. I kept my eyes on the road, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white, while the hum of the engine was the only sound between us. I could feel her presence, the warmth of her nearness that once comforted me, now feeling like a lie. Every mile that passed just deepened the chasm between us. And I wondered if we'd ever bridge it again, or if I even wanted to try. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.